Hello everyone, welcome to Lukmaan IAS. Today we are going to have the Hindu newspaper analysis dated 2nd of March 2024. In today's newspaper analysis, we are going to cover the most important articles from the newspaper, and also we are going to cover a mapping related topic that has been in news, right? And apart from this, we are going to solve some MCQs for the prelims exam. So let us quickly see the list of articles that we are going to cover in today's newspaper analysis. So today we are going to cover these many articles, right? So name of the articles are mentioned along with the page number from the Hindu newspaper. So places in news, okay, so we are going to cover the places in news. So there are few important places that are in news, and recently, let's say today in the Hindu newspaper, it was mentioned that one of the port which was earlier being developed by China has now, let's say like it is now being looked into that it will be built by India. So that's why, so today what we want to do is like today we want to look into all the major ports that are in Sri Lanka. As we all know that Sri Lanka is a neighborhood country of India, okay, Sri Lanka is a neighborhood country of India and it is a maritime neighbor of India. So with India and Sri Lanka, we do have very good, let's say, diplomatic ties. There are cultural ties also. So like we do have cultural and historical relations with Sri Lanka. So today we are going to look into the major ports of Sri Lanka, okay. So one of the major port is, as we know, Hambantota port, okay, the port of Hambantota. So this port is located in the southern portion of Sri Lanka, port of Hambantota. Apart from this, they have another port which is known as port of Gale. Okay, so this is a natural harbor also. It's a port of Gale. Then we have port of Colombo. Okay, and Colombo is the capital of Sri Lanka, as we all know, right? This is port of Colombo. Then they have another important port which is known as the port of Trincomalee. Okay, Trincomalee is another port. So good evening Vidya, thank you so much for joining. Then we have some other ports also. For example, this particular port which is port of Kankasenuthurai, okay, port of Kankasenuthurai. Then we have port of Point Pedro. So these are some of the ports, and here all the ports that are, let's say, marked with red colored, red dotted ports, these are major ports in Sri Lanka. Other green dotted ports like this one, this particular port is a minor port in Sri Lanka. So today we just wanted to see like which port are located in Sri Lanka. Okay, they keep on coming in news, so it's important that you have some understanding about these ports as well. So with this, now let us quickly look at the first article from the newspaper. So this article is about let's say India's policy towards Palestine. As we know that Palestine and Israel are in a state of warfare at this point of time, and this warfare is not very new. So between Israel and Palestine, the warfare has been there for, let's say, like, for many decades. I mean, like from 1950s and before that, right? There has been tussle between these two countries. Why? Because Israelis are the people who are settlers. So they came from outside. They started staying in Palestine, and slowly and gradually they have occupied the territory, and later on in 1948 they have declared the state of Israel to be a separate state. So they have taken out land from Israel. And not only this, there have been histories of warfare between Israel and Palestine, and also Israel and some other Arabian states. And in those warfares, what has happened, like these like Israel has occupied territories from these many countries. And now once again this warfare was in news. Why? Because there is a group which is known as Hamas. Hamas is a kind of non-state actor. So Hamas has attacked on Israel on 7th of October 2023, and that attack marked, let's say, after 50 years of Yom Kippur War, the 1973 war that has happened between Israel and Palestine. Okay. So the thing is, like, now after this, Israel has started retaliating against that extremist group. I mean, like the group which is known as Hamas, right, in the Gaza Strip. So this article looks into what has been India's policy in the past related to Israel, and what, let's say, India thinks about Israel-Palestine conflict. So in this article, author has discussed about many things related to this policy. So let us quickly understand about this topic. So name of this topic is Change and Continuity in India's Palestine Policy. Change and continuity in India's Palestine policy. All right. So to understand this issue, what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly draw a map of Israel. Okay, a quick map of Israel that showcases where is present day Israel located, right? So this is the location of Israel. Apart from this, there is a territory over here. This territory is known as Gaza Strip. This territory is known as Gaza Strip. Then to the west of Israel, here we have a sea which is known as Mediterranean Sea. Right? There is a country which is known as Egypt. Egypt is located here. Then we have Syria over here. We have Lebanon, which is located here, right? And we have another country which is Jordan, which is located here. Then there is another territory inside Israel. This territory is known as West Bank. So if we talk about the present status, where is Palestine located? So the people of Palestine, they are known as Arab people. So they are located inside the West Bank and inside Gaza Strip. So these are the two locations, number 1 and number 2, where Palestinian resides. And in the Gaza Strip resides a group which is known as Hamas. What is the full form of Hamas? Hamas means the Islamic resistant movement. Okay, the Islamic resistance movement. What does Hamas want? Hamas wants that Israelis should, let's say, free the captured territory. And that's why Hamas has attacked on Israel on 7th of October 2023. And that attack, let's say, has killed more than 1,200 people in Israel. And after then, Israel is exercising its right of self-defense. And so in the guise of right of self-defense, it has killed more than 25,000 Palestinian people in the Gaza Strip. So inside the Gaza Strip, there are around 2.3 million people. How many people? Around 2.3 million people reside inside the Gaza Strip. And most of these people, more than 95% people, has been displaced by Israel. So that's why many countries have started raising their voice against Israel. In fact, South Africa is a country that has filed a case in the let's say International Court of Justice, right? So there is a court which is known as ICJ. So ICJ is a primary court under the United Nations system. So here South Africa has filed a case against Israel. And South Africa says that Israel is doing genocide. What? It is involved in doing genocide in Gaza Strip, right? It is doing genocide in Gaza Strip, right? It is doing genocide of Palestinian people. So Israel is killing women, it is killing children, it is killing, let's say, civilians in the Gaza Strip. But when we talk about rules of warfare, right? So different countries do participate in warfares. There are rules related to warfare. There are multiple conventions. For example, Geneva Conventions, right? So there are Geneva Conventions also. There are many other conventions as well. These conventions, let's say, protect the civilians. They say that when two states are in a state of warfare, in that case, the states must make it sure that they should have minimum casualty from the part of the civilians. Like, least number of civilians must be affected. But over here, what is happening? In fact, most of the civilians are being killed by Israel. Okay, so that's why South Africa has filed case, right, against Israel in the International Court of Justice, ICJ. Not only this, Brazil is also another country, right? Brazil is a country in South America. This is the largest country in South America. It has also been very vocal about, let's say, about the genocide that Israel is doing in Gaza Strip. Not only this, there are many countries across the world that are not happy with what Israel is doing. But the thing is, Israel is being supported by two major countries. Number one, the United States of America, which has a veto power in the United Nations Security Council because it is a P5 member of the United Nations Security Council. It is a permanent 5 member, one of the permanent 5 member. Apart from this, Israel is also being supported. Israel is also being supported by UK, United Kingdom, right? Because of these two countries, let's say Israel is able to get away with whatever it has already done, right, in the Gaza Strip. In fact, Israel is being opposed by China, it is being opposed by Russia, and India has a long-standing policy towards Israel. What has been the policy of has been the policy of India? So India has always stated that, like, Palestine should be a free state. So India is in support of a free and independent and sovereign Palestinian state. However, what has happened? Israelis have captured the Palestinian territory. There have been talks also, time and again, related to a two-state solution. What do we mean by two-state solution? Right? So we are going to discuss about the two-state solution. So there have been talks related to two-state solution. Two-state solution means that on one side, Israel will stay as an independent sovereign state, right, side by side with Palestine, right? With Palestine will be a sovereign state, Israel will be a sovereign state. So they are going to work out on the border disputes between them. They are going to work out on other kind of disputes so that these two states can reside side by side. On one side Israel, on the other side Palestine. However, Palestinian people do not accept a two-state solution. So they want Israel to be of the same, Palestine to be of the same nature as it was before 1948, before the proclamation that Israel is a separate state. Apart from this, Israel has become a state. It has been supported by many other countries also, right? So in 1948, when Israel has claimed that we are a sovereign nation, so within few minutes, let's say United States of America has proclaimed that it recognizes Israel as a separate state. Subsequently, Great Britain, it has also recognized Israel as a separate state. But the thing is, now Israel is now being ruled by a Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu. Okay, so Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, what he wants, basically he is a hardliner. So he is supported by far right activists. So those people are not, let's say, in support of any talks with Palestinian people. They are not in support of, let's say, ceding any territory to the Palestinian people. So that's why this is an ongoing tussle that is happening between these two countries, right? Israel and Palestine. And this has led to a humanitarian crisis in the Gaza Strip, where in the Gaza Strip it has led to a humanitarian crisis. And what has happened? Now in United Nations General Assembly, multiple resolutions have been passed, and in this article the author has cited that India has supported for ceasefire. India has supported that, Israel should go for ceasefire, that it should no longer, let's say, kill any further, let's say, civilians in the Palestine or in the Gaza Strip. That has been the case, okay, that has been the case. but like India has maintained a long stand policy that like we want Palestine to be an independent state, to be a sovereign state. Sometimes we have also been vocal about a two-state solution. We have, let's say, like earlier we had an ideal policy. Ideal means like ideally we used to look into the things, but now our policy stand has shifted to real politic also. What? It has shifted to real politic. What do we mean by real politic? Real politic means it is a situation where the real time scenario will be taken into account. What is the prevailing scenario or situation that will be taken into account before coming into a conclusion. So real politic, by following real politic, what we have done, we have maintained good relations with Israel for over 3 decades, right? Soon after, let's say India has recognized Israel in 1950 itself, but the thing is like we did not engage in diplomatic ties with Israel, but slowly and gradually we engaged in diplomatic ties also with Israel. But the thing is like we have maintained good relations with Israel for 3 decades, but now India is clear that like we also want peace in the let's say like in the Israel-Palestine region, and we want a long-term solution in that region. Although we are not interfering into the warfare that is happening over there, we are maintaining a kind of neutral stance. Means like we are not supporting those countries who are pro-Israel. For example, on one side United States of America and UK, so they are pro-Israel. So these are the countries that have supported the cause of Israel, that has supported even the genocide that Israel is doing in Gaza Strip, right? And on the other side there are countries, for example the South Africa, Brazil. These are the countries, South Africa, Brazil, Iran, let's say like Russia, China. These are the countries that have taken a clear stand against Israel. These countries, like South Africa has even gone to the International Court of Justice against Israel. But India has not joined any of these two clubs. Like on one side, the pro-Israeli countries, on the other side, anti-Israeli countries. What we want a long-term solution to the problem that is there. We have been maintaining good relations with Israel, and we have had a good, let's say, long-term stand towards Palestine as well. Okay, long-term stand towards the cause of the Palestine. This is the thing. So in this article, basically the author has said that we have followed an evolved approach. In that evolved approach, we have not joined any of the side, but like we are clear that like there should be a proper solution to the ongoing tussle that is happening, and this solution must be let's say long-term solution. So finally here the author says that India's historical policy towards Palestine has been evolving, but a permanent fix to the Palestine question should not be lost sight of. Okay, so we should focus on permanent fix to the ongoing problem that is there in let's say Israel-Palestine region. So with this, now let us move to another article. This is a very, very important article, good article. So it says India's burgeoning death penalty crisis. So in this article, authors are talking about the death penalties that are being awarded by the judiciary, right, to the convicts, to the people who have, let's say, like done something which is against law. I mean, like so judiciary at different levels, like judiciary at the lower level, so district courts and session courts have awarded death penalty to the people. There have been instances where high courts in India have awarded death penalty to the people. But what has happened, basically, like these authors are part of Project 39A. Okay, Project 39A under National Law University, Delhi. So these people are, let's say, we can consider them to be human rights activists. So they have come up with a report also. What is the name of that report? Here they have mentioned about that report. It is known as Death Penalty India Report 2016, right? So we are going to understand about this report today. We are going to understand about a case law, which is Manoj versus State of Madhya Pradesh, May 2022. And we are going to talk about the statistics related to, let's say, upholding the conviction in case of death penalty which are awarded. So let us quickly understand some important factors related to this article, right? So this is going to be the topic number 2 for today. what is the name of the topic? It is India's burgeoning death penalty crisis. Now before we go into understanding this particular topic, now let us understand about death penalty. Alright. So who can award death penalty in India? So death penalty can be awarded by judiciary. Right? It can be awarded by judiciary. It can be awarded by judiciary at all level. It can be awarded by the, let's say, like, lower judiciary. Lower judiciary means lower courts, the courts that are there at the district level. Okay. It can be awarded, death penalty can be awarded by high courts also. And death penalty can be awarded by the Supreme Court of India as well. I am just writing Supreme Court. Death penalty can be awarded by the Supreme Court as well. Now the question is awarding death penalty an ethical thing or not? So related to this, there have been multiple debates, right, across the world. There are many countries in the world that have abolished death penalty. They do not, let's say, they no longer give death penalty to the convicts, right? There are countries that still have death penalty, right? So there are countries that still award death penalty to, let's say, like, people who have committed crimes. India is one of those countries where we, let's say, like, the judiciary may award death penalty in cases of heinous crimes, right? Heinous crimes. That's the thing. So death penalty can be awarded by the judiciary at all level. But the thing is, in India, we have an integrated judiciary. So at the lower level, we have the lower judiciary at the district level, and even the subordinate courts are there. So these district level courts generally come under the administrative thing of the High Court, right, in that state. Okay. So there are many high courts in India, around 25 high courts are there. And then let's consider there is a death penalty that is awarded by a lower court. Okay, let's consider lower court has awarded death penalty to a person, right? It has awarded death penalty to a person. Then what will happen? The person who was awarded death penalty, he does have a right to appeal against the decision of the lower court. So where he can appeal? He can appeal to the High Court, right? He can appeal to the High Court, or he can appeal to the Supreme Court of India also, because it is actually it is actually like taking away his life. So in that case, fundamental rights allows a person to reach to the high courts as well as to the Supreme Court of India also. Okay, so that person can go to the Supreme Court of India as well. Okay, it can be, let's say, appealed in the Supreme Court of India as well. And in this article, basically they have mentioned that in India around, let's say, in India around 561 prisoners were at death row in 2023. By the end of 2023, 561 prisoners were in death row, right? Death row. And they have been awarded death penalty by lower judiciary as well as high courts. And there are many high courts, right? There are many high courts in the country where a person who was awarded death penalty, he has approached the High Court for an appeal, and High Court has not decided the case yet. I mean, like, case is still pending. There have been cases that during the pendency of the case, people who are death row convicts, right, people who are in death row, they have committed suicide in the jail itself. So the thing is, like, this requires our judiciary to get some kind of there should be some kind of reform so that a speedy trial should happen, right? So that's one issue that has been discussed in this article. Apart from this, in this article, what they have discussed is that in the year of 2023, the Supreme Court of India has looked into 10 cases that related to death row convicts. And among those cases, in many of these cases, right, in 55% of the cases, Supreme Court of India has, let's say, like, Supreme Court of India has basically acquitted, right? Supreme Court of India has acquitted more than 55% of the death row convicts. Means those people who were awarded death penalty by lower court or maybe at high court, right? Supreme Court of India has looked into those things. They have set those people free, because there have been instances where Supreme Court of India has found that the people who are in the death row, right, people who are in the death row, means like who have been awarded death penalty, right, the investigations did not happen in the proper manner. There are lack of evidence against the person. Okay, so there have been many cases. So in this article, the authors are talking about a project which is known as Project 39A. Project 39A, right? So what is this 39A number? Basically 39A relates to an article in the Constitution of India. This article falls under the directive principles of state policy. So what this article talks about, it talks about, let's say, access to justice, right, to the people. Okay, so like, to provide free access to justice, right? So the National Law University Delhi has started a project which is known as Project 39A, right? So under Project 39A, they have, let's say, like, they have like appealed against death penalty of many people, and they come up with a report also which is known as Death Penalty India Report 2016. What is the name of the report? Death Penalty India Report 2016. So basically here the authors are talking about this particular report, and this report says that ultimately 4.9% of the death sentences imposed by trial courts between 2000 to 2015 were confirmed at the appellate level. Means like this particular report says that 4.9% of the people who were given death penalty by a trial court, so that has been upheld or confirmed. Okay, it has been upheld or confirmed. But recently the Supreme Court of India has acquitted in, let's say, 9 out of 10 cases that it has been looking into. Okay, so in this article basically they have talked about a case law also, case law where the Supreme Court of India has given a judgment. Okay, so I'm going to write down the name of that case law. Maybe that may be little important for you. You can use this case law while writing an answer to Indian polity question, okay, in the mains exam. What is the name of the case law? It says Manoj versus State of Madhya Pradesh, right? Manoj versus State of Madhya Pradesh, 2002, I think. So 2022. Manoj versus State of Madhya Pradesh. So this is a case, right, where the Supreme Court of India has given directions. Okay, so show that the court's attempt to reform sentencing through its directions have failed to trickle down to the trial courts. Means the Supreme Court of India has given directions in this particular case, Manoj versus State of Madhya Pradesh, and these directions are related to the trial courts, that, like, while awarding death penalty to a person, the trial court should, let's say, follow certain procedures. It should follow certain directions, certain guidelines, right? Those things have been mentioned by the Supreme Court of India in this particular case. But the thing is, what the authors are saying that this particular judgment, right, the outcome of this judgment has not trickled down, it has not percolated, it has not gone, right, to the level of the, let's say, district court or subordinate courts. Means like subordinate courts have not, let's say, started implementing the directions that are given by the Supreme Court of India in this particular case. Okay, so that's why this case is very important. Okay, this article is very important. So you can read this article and you can further, let's say, make your arguments strong by citing some of the data that are mentioned in this article. So this article is related to awarding death sentences, right? Reforming the judiciary related to awarding death sentences, and rights of the death row convicts, right? And how the appeal happens at different courts, and whether it is ethical or not. Although it is legal, we know in India it is legal, right? But there are many countries across the world that has already, let's say, like, abolished death penalty. But has India done so? No. Is there a call for it? Yes, there are call for it. Okay, this is the thing. So with this, now let us talk about another article. This article talks decoding the script. This article is related to science and technology. We are going to discuss in, let's say, like, in brief about this article. This is going to be topic number 3 for us today. Topic number 3. It says, decoding the script. Now, to understand this article, we need to discuss about some important thing. So, one of the important thing that we are going to discuss is genome. What? We are going to discuss about genome. So, what is genome? Basically, genome is the set of all DNAs in a human being, right? If you have genome of a particular person, using that genome, right, you can identify what kind of DNA that person has, right? So genome is set of all genetic material of a person. Okay, genome is like the DNA. So it is like genome is DNA blueprint that constitutes and maintains human bodies. Okay, so this is the thing. So it is like complete set of genetic information. Okay, complete set of genetic information of a person. Complete set of genetic information means it has DNAs, all kind of DNAs of a person, right? So that is known as genome. So what Government of India has done, basically Government of India has started a project. What is that project? This project is known as Genome India project. Okay, it is known as Genome India project. So what we wanted to do under Genome India project, basically Government of India wanted to collect samples of Indian citizens. Okay, samples of Indian citizens. How many samples? We wanted to collect 10,000 genome samples, right? 10,000 genome samples of Indian population. We wanted to connect 10,000 genome samples of Indian population. This is the thing. So why only 10,000 genomes? In India we have, let's say, like 1.4 billion people, 140 crore people in India. But if we collect only 10,000 genome samples, does it, let's say, include all different races that are there, all different kind of populations who are in different, let's say, geographical regions, including, let's say, like like mountains and low-lying regions and all. So basically, although this 10,000 genomes is not a, let's say, like, is not a sample, let's say, does not like represent the entire Indian genome, because in India we have 1.4 billion people, right? 140 crore people. Only 10,000 genomes cannot represent all the people in the country. But since this is the first such project that India has taken into account, so here India, let's say, Government of India tried to collect genome sample from across the length and width of the country. Okay, so they have collected 10,000 genome samples from, let's say, various population in the country. So this particular project has been, let's say, headed by Indian Institute of Science, right? Indian Institute of Science, Bengaluru, and along with this there was another institute. Okay, so that is in Hyderabad. Okay, so Center for Cellular and Molecular Biology. Okay, Center for Cellular and Molecular Biology, Hyderabad, like that. So these are the two organizations that have headed this thing, and there were in all more than 20 institutions, right, in the country that were involved in collecting the genome samples of Indian population. This is the thing. So why this genome sample collection is important? Once we collect the genome samples, we can make a atlas kind of thing through which we can identify about rare genetic diseases if people have, right? So we will be able to come up with precision medicine. We will be able to come up with kind of, let's say, like, solutions to the rare genetic diseases that people have. Apart from this, let's say this particular project has been completely implemented. Recently there was an article yesterday, I think, in the newspaper. That article talked about that India, this under the Genome India project, we have completed collecting 10,000 genome samples, and the target was collecting 10,000 genome samples itself. Apart from this, there is another, let's say, like, similar project which is known as Human Genome Project, okay, Human Genome Project, okay, in short, which is known as HGP, Human Genome Project. So what is this Human Genome Project? So Human Genome Project was, let's say, undertaken at international level. It was not undertaken by India, means like it was an international project under which they wanted to collect the human genomes from across different continents, across different countries, and from different racial groups. Why? Because they wanted to maintain a, let's say, sample, representative sample of the human genome. And this Human Genome Project has been completed in the year of 2003 itself. And once this project has been completed, it has made international sensation, international news, that, like, like various organizations across the world were able to complete the Human Genome Project. So it was considered to be a true representation of the human genome. But, like, Government of India wants to maintain its own database of the Indian population, right, Indian citizens. So that's why we have started the Genome India project, and so far this has been successful. They have collected the data. Now let's say we need to wait that, like, what they do with this data, right? I mean, like, which kind of rare and genetic diseases they identify, what kind of medical solutions do they come up with. This is the thing. So this article is very good, okay? So with this, now let us solve some questions. So there are few questions that are from, let's say, the Hindu newspaper articles itself, but the thing is, the articles that come in the printed version and the articles that they published on the same day in their online platforms are little different. However, they are covered, let's say, 1 day or 2 days before and after. So, like, that will be okay. So we are going to cover this topic. It says, the primary objective of a smart lander for investigating moon SLIM mission is to. So they are asking about what is the primary objective of the SLIM mission. It is to study the lunar composition and geological history. So when we talk about a smart lander for investigating the moon, this is a moon mission. What mission? This is a moon mission. Of which country? Of Japan. And Japan has a, let's say, like, space agency which is known as JAXA. Japan has a space agency, it is known as JAXA, Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency. And this JAXA has started this project which is known as a smart lander for investigating the moon. So basically, this project is similar to the Chandrayaan mission that we had, right? Indian Space Research Organization has launched Chandrayaan 3 mission that has made international sensation because we were able to do a soft landing on the far side of the moon, on the south pole of the moon. And not only this, we have, let's say, demonstrated the capacity of the rover to rove or travel on the surface of the moon. We have demonstrated that rover has collected samples from the moon and it has analyzed the data. It has sent that data back to Earth. Similarly, the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, they wanted to, let's say, conduct this similar moon mission. But the thing is, one important component was there in this mission is that they wanted to do a precise landing on the south pole of the moon. So let's say this is the moon. They wanted to do a precise landing. What? Precise landing. Precise landing means, so they have identified, let's say, a place in moon around 100 meters in radius or diameter. So within that 100 meter they wanted to make a landing, and they have been able to do it. So it was a successful mission. And so in this mission actually Indian Space Research Organization has also helped them in some way, because like the Chandrayaan 2 mission had an orbiter that's still functional, right? From that orbiter we have shared data with Japan, and Japan has used that data to make its landing more precise. Okay, so the director of Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency has praised, let's say, ISRO chief also for their support. So basically this is a mission, this mission belongs to Japan, all right, this mission belongs to Japan, and its purpose is to study the lunar composition and geological history. Basically what they have done, after making a soft landing, they have started collecting samples from moon, and they have received those, let's say, information in Earth in Japan. And then let's say, like moon has a lunar day which is known as sidereal day. It is equivalent to 14 Earth days. So after a sidereal day for 14 days, that part of the moon will be completely darkened out. So they have turned off that system, right? And again they turned on, and that was working. Now again they have turned off, right? They have turned off because the sidereal night is there, and they are hoping that they want to turn on this let's say smart lander for investigating the moon, to do research once again on it. So we have given description also, we have explained answers to this question. What you can do is, in your free time basically, you can download this PDF from the description of this video, and you can learn more from here. Now we have another article. This article is related to environment and ecology. Here we are talking about, let's say, poaching of tigers, poaching of leopards. Okay, so it says unrestrained poaching plays big role in the decline of Odisha's like leopards. So basically, like you can see, these are the, let's say, outer cover, right, of the leopards we can see. Okay, so like basically the forest department in Kerala, in Odisha, they had created a special task force, right, of police last year, and they have seized these things, right, from the forest region. And there are many people who are involved in doing poaching. Poaching means killing the animals illegally by smugglers, by those people, let's say, like who trade in some of the let's say, like some of the bodily parts of the animals. So this is the thing. So this is just a news item. So here they talk about status of leopards in India report. Okay, it was recently released. So in that report they have talked about the big cat population in the state. They have talked about big cat population of leopards in the state, and the population of leopard in Odisha has declined. It has gone down. This is what they have mentioned. Okay, so with this, now let us quickly move to another article. It says Google removes matrimony streaming apps over Firo. So this article is important. This article is related to technical aspects. It's related to economy aspects also. Okay, so I'm going to write few important things related to this article, and these important things will be important for you for the prelims and mains exam as well. So I am writing here topic number 3, although we have covered multiple topics, and this is, name of the article is Google removes matrimony streaming apps over Firo. Now let us understand one thing. All those people who operate Android operating system, who operate, let's say, mobile phones that has Android. Okay, so basically Google maintains something which is known as Google Play Store. We all know Google Play Store. So from Google Play Store, what we can do is we can download apps, right? We can download applications, what? Mobile apps, and these apps are based on an operating system which is known as Android, okay, Android platform. So many of you who do not have, let's say, Apple phones, so they must be having the Android applications, right, and like Android phones. So in Android phone, if you want to download any application, generally you download it from Google Play Store, like that, okay, you download it from there. But the thing is, here what is the question? The issue is that in the Google Play Store there are businesses that are listed, there are businesses that are listed, and these businesses are, let's say, app developers also. What? They are app developers. Their app developers means there are many businesses who have their apps in the Google Play Store, and these apps, let's say, many of these apps are free of cost, means like as a user we can download those apps, we can start using the content of those apps. But the thing is, like in Google Play Store, right, the apps that are listed, these apps also provide in-app purchasing services, right? In-app what? Purchases happen. In the sense, for example, tomorrow you download an application, and if you want to know something more, if you want to get access to some premium content from that app, what you need to do as a user, you need to make payment to the app developers, to that business. For example, if I talk about Bharat Matrimony, what? Bharat Matrimony. So Bharat Matrimony is a kind of like website, they have an app also. As a user, if you are searching for a partner, so in that case you download the app, you start using it, then they ask you to pay. Once you make the payment, so that is known as in-app purchases. So when users do in-app purchases, they are transferring money from their account to the, let's say, app owners, right? They are not making payment to the Google, right? Google, which maintains the Google Play Store. Google has developed the Android operating system itself, okay? So the Android operating system that we use in mobile phones, it has been developed by Google. So what Google says, Google wants to, let's say, charge money, right? Google wants to charge fees from these businesses, from these companies that have listed their applications, let's say, like, in the Google Play Store. And what will be the amount of charge? It's going to be from around 11% to 30% of in-app purchases. What do we mean by this? For example, if you are making a payment of 100 rupees, so to any company, to any, let's say, app owner, so in that case Google wants to charge about 11 rupees to 30 rupees out of that 100 rupees, like that. So this is the standard model, a new policy that Google has developed, and they have operationalized it across different countries. But this has been challenged by various businesses in India. For example, Bharat Matrimony and other applications have challenged this policy of Google in the Supreme Court of India. And recently the Supreme Court of India has given a decision, and that decision was in favor of Google. I mean, like, that Google can charge money from these, let's say, like businesses or apps or app developers, right? So these app developers did not receive any relief from the Supreme Court of India. And so after this, what has happened? What Google has done, Google has disabled apps, right? So now after the Supreme Court judgment, okay, there was a recent Supreme Court judgment. After the recent Supreme Court judgment, Google has disabled apps. Disabled various apps that did not make payment to Google, right? Apps means business apps, right? This is the thing. So that's why that article was in news. Okay, I hope you have understood the entire story related to this. So Google requires apps to pay a platform fee that could range from 11 to 30%, okay? And that is known as platform fee, okay? This is known as what? Platform fee. Okay, so with this, now let us quickly move to another article. And before that, we have another question for discussion. Okay, we are going to discuss a question, and this is based on an online article that was in the Hindu newspaper. Okay, online version. So it says, in the context of 13th Ministerial Conference of WTO, consider the following statements. Okay, so WTO means World Trade Organization. So there was a 13th Ministerial Conference of World Trade Organization. It was recently happened. It was recently conducted in Middle East. We are going to understand in which country it was conducted, but related to this, there are three statements in this question. It says it was the first time that the conference was held in the Middle East. Okay, this is wrong. Before this also, like now I think it happened in Dubai, but before this it was held in Doha, Qatar. Okay, so this is not the first time that the ministerial conferences of WTO happened in the Middle East. Okay, it has happened in the past also. The 4th ministerial conference happened in Doha, Qatar. Okay, long back. That's the thing. So first statement is wrong. Second, it says the conference aimed to address challenges faced by multilateral trading system. This is right. Okay, this statement is right. In fact, they also wanted to address the issue related to agriculture, right? Trade in agriculture, trade in other commodities and all. So this is right. Third, the conference resulted in a significant breakthrough on agricultural subsidies. Okay, although there were discussions related to agriculture subsidy, but significant breakthrough did not happen. So third statement is also right. So how many of the above statements are right? Only one. Okay, which is correct answer will be option A. Here, so now the 13th ministerial conference, where it happened in Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates. It happened in Abu Dhabi. Okay, so further details you can read from the explanation. Just download this PDF from description. Now we have another article. It says Myanmar is now a never-ending nightmare, says UN rights chief. Okay, so we know Myanmar is the neighborhood country of India. Okay, to understand this article, let me quickly draw the map of India. Okay, so that you can appreciate it little more. All right. Okay, this is India, just a rough sketch of India. To the northeast of India, right, this is a country which is Myanmar. What has happened in Myanmar? Long back in February 2021, right, the Myanmari military, which is known as junta, okay, it is written as junta, Junta, we pronounce it as junta. So what junta has done, it has toppled, or it has overthrown the democratically established government in Myanmar, and after then it has come into power, and soon after then a civil war has started in Myanmar. Civil war means there are multiple powers that are contesting for acquiring more power. Like on one side there is military junta, and on the other side the democratically elected government that was overthrown. So out of that government, various brotherhoods, various alliances have been created. So all of them are fighting with one another, and because they are fighting with one another, it has destabilized their economy, and human rights violations are happening. Huge number of human beings are being killed in Myanmar. So that's why in the United Nations organization there is United Nations High Commission for Refugees, right? And there is United Nations rights organization also. So United Nations Human Rights Chief has recently said that Myanmar is now a never ending nightmare. So he says that 3 years of military rule in Myanmar have inflicted unbearable cruelty, leaving people trapped in unending nightmare as the conflict spreads. So they say in Myanmar conflict has arisen, and huge number of people have been killed, and even now the situation has come that people are fearful of joining the military also in Myanmar. Means people are not joining the military because the Myanmari military has lost the support of the masses. Okay, in fact people are participating in rebellion activity against the military, because military has toppled the democratically established government in Myanmar. Now with this, we came to another article. This article is related to geography. So it says India to see warmer summer as El Nino conditions continue. So El Nino, what do we mean by El Nino? So El Nino is a technical word, right? El Nino is a technical word which means little boy. It means little boy in Spanish language, right? So El Nino in Spanish means little boy. Okay, little boy is English meaning and this is Spanish meaning. So what do we mean by this El Nino? Basically, El Nino is a kind of natural phenomena. It is an abnormal phenomena that happens in the Pacific Ocean, right? So as we know, Pacific Ocean is, let's say, like, is one of the largest ocean in the world. So what happens in the Pacific Ocean when the conditions in the equatorial Pacific Ocean, whenever the condition, let's say, becomes warmer in the Pacific Ocean, right? So that leads to El Nino situation and it disturbs the, let's say, like, it disturbs the natural balance. It disturbs the natural climate in various places. So El Nino happens because of abnormal temperature change on the equatorial Pacific Ocean. However, it does have impact on India also. What impact does it have on India? In India, we see, let's say, like, warmer year, means like temperature increases, right, in India, right? So this is the thing. So it says, this article says that India to see warmer summer as El Nino conditions continue, okay? So El Nino conditions are continuing. And there is an other situation also which is just opposite of El Nino, that is known as La Nina. Okay, it is known as La Nina. So El Nino and La Nina happens in an alternate fashion. First El Nino will come, after some time La Nina will come. So the cycle is about 4 to 7 years, right? In a cycle of 4 to 7 years, once El Nino will come, then La Nina will come. In La Nina, the conditions will be opposite. So because of El Nino, warmer, let's say, temperature we can see, but because of La Nina, we see colder temperatures, colder condition. And there is a technical term also which is known as ENSO, El Nino Southern Oscillation, okay, El Nino Southern Oscillation, which is associated with fluctuating cycles of El Nino and La Nina, okay. This is the thing. So this is just a news article, so like I'm not going much deep into it. Okay, now let us understand about another article. What it says, Center's housing scheme for tribal groups facing hurdles due to lack of accurate data. So central government has come up with a housing scheme, and this scheme is known as Pradhan Mantri Janjati Adivasi Nyay Maha Abhiyan. Okay, in short it is known as PM Janman, Pradhan Mantri Janjati Adivasi Nyay Maha Abhiyan, PM Janman. So this is a housing scheme for the tribal people, and so this housing scheme is meant for, let's say, like, assisting the particularly vulnerable tribal groups. Which groups? Particularly vulnerable tribal groups. In India, we have identified 75 such tribal groups. 75 particularly vulnerable tribal groups. It is to assist those tribal groups to have their housing, right, through financing mechanism and other things. So it is being implemented under the Ministry of Tribal Affairs. Which ministry? Ministry of Tribal Affairs. However, like, they did not maintain accurate data. So that's why tribals are not getting benefited out of this scheme. This is what is being said in this article. Okay. So with this, now let us talk about another article. I think like we have covered all the articles today. Thank you so much everyone for attending today's session. I hope you have a good day ahead. Thank you.